Please ignore my face because, wow. Also ignore my hair. I swear I brushed it. I swear to God. Anyways. I have this video which is honestly my October highlights. I just wrote November because we are in November. But I've been going through nonfiction November, so I'm going to have a nonfiction November wrap up that answers to this TBR that you can find right here. So yeah, I still really wanted to talk to you about these books, which is why I'm filming this. The first one is The Dumb House by John Burnside. This is a Scottish novel about Luke, a guy who has a strange relationship with his mother and has always been obsessed with this story about Akbar the Great and his experiment where Akbar took a lot of newborn children and put them in a palace where they were raised by mutes, and all of this to try to prove whether language was innate or acquired. And he sets out after his mother's death, Luke, to replicate this experiment. And the whole novel is not the experiment itself, that's like this part. What drew him to the experiment and all his reasoning, and it's seriously fucked up and it's seriously brilliant. This was on my 5-star prediction pile, so you will hear more about it, but this fulfilled the challenge, and you can find that video here, like the TBR video. Oh my god, this was amazing, and I am going to give a little more details and rave a little bit more on my 5-star prediction video, but it's amazing. Then I want to tell you about Gillian Flynn's Scoundrel. Now, I've read The Grown Up and Sharp Objects, and I thought they both were super great, but they weren't fully realized, especially the ending. Now, I think this one is much better constructed. This is about Nick and I forget the girl's name, Amy, and Amy disappears. What happened to her? And at first it's narrated by Nick, and then things change. I think saying anything else would be a spoiler. But one like big spoiler that people give in general is that it contains big twists. And so I was trying to figure out the twist all the time, and I did it. To me, it wasn't that surprising, but it's not because it's poorly constructed, it's the other way around. Because it's so perfectly put together, it makes so much sense. You get to discover it. Also, if you know Gillian Flynn's MO, I still haven't read Dark Places, I'm going to. If you know how she operates and you know what she likes to write and which characters she likes to focus on, I feel like you will figure it out. That said, I would still recommend this book, and I would love to reread it because it's also such an interesting study in like cultural patterns, feminism, and just like what society expects from us and stereotypes. And it's so modern because we usually read those themes in things that were older to criticize them. But this is an actual like present day novel that incorporates technology, that incorporates contemporary human relationships. It was super interesting. I gave it, I think, 4 out of 5. Really loved it. Then I have The Lost Continent by Bill Bryson. Bill Bryson is a very widely read nonfiction author. I think he's one of the most popular. He's so prolific and he has written on a range of topics. And this is his first book, I believe, wherein he goes back to his like hometown and he tours all over the country really, but only stopping at like this small towns, not big cities, because that's what he used to do with his dad. And so it's part a memoir of his emotions or relationship towards his dad, and it's also a travel journal. This was great, but it's strange. I ate it up. I honestly loved it. Even though Bill Bryson is so cynical and he's so sarcastic, and a lot of people really dislike that. He's really bitter about small town America, and he's really bitter about his dad and his family. But then who isn't? Well, I'm not. I love my dad. But I'm bitter about some things. It's interesting, but I think it takes a certain mood and a certain person to enjoy it, because this is not one of those travel writings that are going to make you love nature or love the country. This is very sour, and I think you need to be accepting of that, and you need maybe not to engage with the narrator as much. I mean, I laughed and I marked it up, and again, I really enjoyed this. But I think a lot of people haven't, and I know why. The final book I don't have on me because it was a library book, but that's Asunder by Susan Wood, I think. This is a poetry collection, which is interesting because it is free verse, but the structures are a little more traditional. They are longer poems, which you don't usually see anymore, and it's not very well known. It has not many reviews in Goodreads, but it's all about being broken and having your identity taken away, or what is that defines your identity. And it's so interesting. The first part I didn't like as much, but the second and third, especially the third, I thought it was amazing. It has a lot of like pop cultural reference mixed in with literary references. It's very approachable, and I don't know, I just really recommend it. And that was all. I hope you enjoyed this video. I apologize for the tardiness, and it's only 4 books, but then again, it's briefer to watch. So check out all the videos I left here, a lot of TBRs. The wrap-up probably will be included here. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, all my social media is down below, and see you next time. And I'm sorry if like the camera kept changing angles a bit, because what happened was that I tend to move the computer. I still don't have my camera back, and I tend to move the computer every time I cut the video. I don't do one take. I'm extremely clumsy. I can't handle them, but whenever I like sort of move it around, I don't know why, and then I remember I'm not supposed to do it, and yeah.